Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Webull. This was a stock analysis request from one of the followers, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I will most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And now on this chart we have managed to invalidate here the bearish interpretation that we were tracking in the orange scenario specifically, which is an impulse, a very strong third wave that could have still unfolded within this area. And we were tracking here the 50% retracement as the signal that this structure is not going to work out, and clearly this was for good reasons. This should have been tracked because it took us a couple of days before we managed to break it. Yeah, we found resistance, we got rejected, and only after did we actually manage to break. And I feel like this is sometimes taken the wrong way, because these areas of resistance are not here to predict that we are going to follow to the downside in this interpretation. Those areas of resistance do put a lot of pressure to the downside that suggest that this could still take a quite bearish implication, especially in this scenario, but it is also a signal that if broken, such an interpretation is no longer possible, right? Where right now on this chart, I cannot reliably be tracking an impulse going on to the downside. Yeah, sure, this could be a larger wave 1 that could still work out within the third wave interpretation, but right now I cannot track this as the third wave itself. It is not a likely interpretation. Yeah, sure, maybe it could be a series of 1-2 setups in this area, but again, as they always do, become unrealistic in terms of the bullish scenario when we keep forming 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. The same applies here in the bearish interpretation in a bearish scenario. This is rather unrealistic to be expecting such a series of 1-2 setups to still work out in the end. And while we should still be aware of such a possibility, I just want to make it extremely clear. It is not a high probability interpretation for me. I am now more reliably, while still tracking a bearish interpretation, looking for a diagonal pattern to be unfolding in this area. And that is why we can now actually even go ahead and remove these scenarios that we were tracking previously here on this chart for the bearish interpretation. And now I wouldn't even necessarily be looking for a third wave to be unfolding to the downside, where I would probably be looking only for an ABC structure, as in the wave C we can be tracking an ending diagonal. Yeah, this can be a diagonal pattern, unlike the actual wave 3. And with this movement, while the overall chart perspective remains bearish, we aren't necessarily looking with as high likelihood for as bearish of an interpretation, and we actually have the option to track a potential bullish scenario to form within this area. Now, in this wave C, I would still like to track here a potential larger 5-wave move to be unfolding to the downside, where we have so far completed the wave 1, 2, and 3, and within the wave 4, I would expect here to be held by the resistance levels for such an interpretation between the $9 level all the way up to the $12 level. So again, we have here this area of resistance, which should provide also a signal, if broken, that this structure is likely not going to play out. In fact, if we manage to break here above the $12 level, I don't even have an immediately bearish interpretation, at least not a likely one. Sure, this could work out as an even larger wave 3, where this could be an ABC structure, but this would be an even less likely interpretation to work out, where I might even start favoring a more bullish movement that could actually unfold on this chart. And for now, yeah, we can actually already even look for the ideal target here for the wave 3, just in case we want to check. But we got within this movement to the downside, within this supposed wave 3 in the orange interpretation, nearly to the 200% extension, which is far beyond the actual ideal target for the wave 3, and it is not a problem, but there is no questioning that, or if this third wave is sufficiently large, sufficiently strong, where the ideal target would have been here at the 138.2% extension at the $9.5 level instead. Yeah, we have reached that. We did take a brief break, but then we continued in this downtrend. Now, with that said, in this area, in this small reversal that we started to the upside, we could likely see an interpretation in the wave 4 in an ABC structure ongoing already, where I would probably still like to continue higher within this wave C. I would like to still see a few additional highs before assuming an actual top within this area, where probably I would probably like still to form here a fourth and a fifth, after this movement to the upside is done, which I don't believe it is. I would like to still see an additional correction and still another high before assuming a more full count within this wave C interpretation. But the main point is, within this larger correction within the ending diagonal of the larger wave C in orange, I would likely expect to form an ABC structure, in which case we can even look here for an ideal target for the wave C, where I would be looking at the 100% extension of the wave A, which is at the $11 level. That is perfectly in line with the 50% retracement, but as I always mention, we don't need to get to those levels and we don't need to stop there. Even the wave C can get to the 138.2% extension of the wave A, and that would be at the 61.8% retracement perfectly. On this chart, we do see the extensions line up quite perfectly with the areas of retracement with the levels of retracement that we are tracking here for this wave 4. And with that said, this is about it for the bearish scenario where we would still expect continuation lower. It is a likely interpretation, and we will be tracking this continuation higher also within a more bullish implication. But right now, it is most likely going to follow the same steps we would expect here for this wave C in orange. And in this case, we should focus on a potential 5-wave move to the upside, where honestly we could be looking for even an impulse at this point, but then I would expect this to work out as a 1-2 setup and form a third wave to the upside. I wouldn't necessarily be convinced by this movement as necessarily the wave 1, 2 and 3. I would still need to see a third wave to still unfold in this area. And in that case, we can even look for an ideal target here internally for the wave 3, which is once again the 138.2% extension of the wave 1 around the $10.6 level. That is where we are looking to get here internally within this wave 3, if this really is to work out as an impulse itself, and if it really is to work out as part of the more bullish scenario specifically, where this would be expected to form a 1, 2 and a third wave to the upside. If this really is to form an initial large 5-wave move to the upside within an impulse. A diagonal may still work, we may still track such interpretations, but for now I would like to see some more evidence, and I cannot give you a support area for the longer term because right now we are still pushing within this internal third wave to the upside, and it would be a moving target. We would have to adjust the area of support for the follow-up correction as we move higher, and ideally we don't stop right now because sure, I could be tracking here as an initial wave 1, we have here an initial wave 2, and then this would work out as a third wave to the upside, and within this wave 3 we may even count this entire movement to the upside as the actual wave 1, all the way up here, then a wave 2, then a third wave to the upside, where even this internal wave 3, I'm not necessarily convinced we have already reached the ideal target. We have only gotten to the 100% extension of this supposed wave 1, and we would need to get at least to the 138.2% extension for it to be a reliable, or at least somewhat reliable wave 3, because this is on a very, very small time frame, and we shouldn't take it for granted because those structures do get distorted all the time, and we do not see every move clearly. The data is flawed and it does not clearly represent the overall market sentiment, allowing for a reliable tracking of an impulse, or even any pattern. But for now, we could be looking still for the direct pushes higher, and if we were to start falling, well, since we haven't gotten right now to the 138.2% extension, I would be extremely worried to see even a break below the previous low here, the $9.9 level. It would be a signal to me that this structure is likely slowing down. It could work out maybe as a 1, 2, 3, 4th, and a 5th, but I suppose we could look here internally for, let's go even in 5 minutes, just this once, I suppose. But then I would like to not see a break at least below the 50% retracement in this case, at least below the $9.8 level. even $8.86 level. If we see here a break below the 50% retracement, it would be a very strong signal that this structure is not going to work out as an impulse. It is not going to turn into an overall wave tree. Sure, it could work as a 1-2 setup, but based on the series, on the large amount of series of 1-2 setups already going on in this area, I would probably be quicker to dismiss the idea of an impulse than to allow it to form another 1-2 setup in this area. Yeah, another deep retracement within the wave 2 is not at all what we want to see within a series of 1-2 setups, when at least not when we get to such a high number. And for now, yeah, this is the level that we don't want to see broken for the bullish scenario of an impulse. A diagonal pattern may still work out. The wave Z could still unfold in this area, even if we fail here to hold the 50% retracement, but not the impulse, not the bullish interpretation. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.